Right now, we're going to talk a little bit more about these NBA playoff games and more basketball with Kurt Helin, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. Check out their pro basketball talk with Kurt Helin. He joins me now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Kurt, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back on, man.
Yeah, man. These playoffs got a little interesting last night. Rockets 127-105, handing Golden State their fourth worst playoff loss in the Steve Kerr area. It's the second straight game, Kurt, where Steph Curry struggled, and it seemed last night they were going at him all night, but Houston really hitting their shots and really changed up their look. Even though they might try to tell you otherwise, it looked like a different Rockets team last night.
Well, they did. I know Mike D'Antoni likes to say they didn't change anything, but yes, they did. But honestly, for me, yeah, they targeted Curry. They did a better job of targeting, helping. They targeted him. They targeted Nick Young when he's out there, as they should. They targeted David West and some of the other guys, Sean Livingston, a little bit more. But for me, everything that they did started on the other end. They were just terrible defensively. I don't want to say terrible. They were not good at all, really, though, defensively in that first game. I mean, Klay Thompson took 18 shots in the first game, and 14 were uncontested. A great shooter like that. They were just not communicating. They were not making their switches cleanly. There wasn't good recognition from them, and they came out on that end and really cranked up the pressure. They helped off of Iguodala a lot more and kind of dared Iguodala to beat them, and same with Sean Livingston. They did a good job of pressuring the Warrior shooters, and Steph Curry I don't think is 100%, so it fell a lot more on Durant and Thompson, who weren't getting the kind of looks they did. But then they turned those misses into early offense, which is what they didn't do last game. They were taking the ball out of the basket, walking it up, getting into their offense and slowly and starting. Harden would start his attack on Curry or whoever with 7 seconds left on the shot clock. By that point, a lot of your options have dissipated. This time around, they were pushing up. They were trying to get some transition points. They were attacking right off the pick earlier in the shot clock so that when the help came and stuff, they were able to better find the shooters on the outside. And then, P.J. Tucker and Eric Gordon and those guys were knocking those down in this game. They shot better, but they got themselves better shots by just kind of playing at a pace and tempo. Look, that's the model. If they're going to win one of the next two in Oracle Arena, that's the model. They got to play like that.
Yeah, they were. It was about a 14-point game virtually all night. The Warriors just didn't seem like they could get over that hump right there. And at some point during the third, I think I just said, they just don't have it tonight. It looked like, body language was a little off. They just seemed like, all right, tonight's not our night. But now, the way the Rockets played last night, I was a big proponent that this series looked like it was over after game one. Still not sure I believe that the Rockets can take this very far, but should I?
I'm not sure that they can do this on the road either. I think that's the big question. I'm like, this is a new level of test for them. It's one thing to say, hey, you were able to do that with some desperation at home. They beat the Warriors, by the way. That's how you have to beat the Warriors. You've got to get out on them early, withstand the eventual run in the third quarter that comes. And if you do that, if you have a lead and you can withstand that third quarter run and have a double-digit lead heading into the fourth, they really do tend to just pack it in. Playoff game, regular season, whatever, that's how you kind of – if you can get out in front of them and stay out in front, they just kind of went, they're kind of like one of those horses at the back of the pack in the Kentucky Derby. They're like, yeah, we'll save our energy for the Preakness. We'll just kind of pull this up here. We're not going to go hard all the way to the end yet. The problem is doing that, again, on the road where you're going to get a much more focused and after a few days off, a much grittier, I think, Warriors team in Game 3. We'll see if they can model that. I think what we're going to get in at least one of those two games in Golden State is actually a close game, which will be a nice change of pace.
Sure would be. Game 3 right here on 97.3 ESPN, of course, Sunday, 8 o'clock. Cavs and Celtics, we've got that one. 8:30 is the tip on that. And, of course, Game 3 a couple of days away. But 2-0 Boston, any reason to feel that Cavs team, which looks outmanned other than LeBron, can get back into this series?
I can't write off LeBron going home for 2 games. I can't bring myself to do it. As much as that last game where he was brilliant and they were able to make plays in the first half, and then their defense came apart again in the second half, and the Celtics don't stop executing. They are relentless. They are, one of those Terminators. It's a Terminator. They're just, you think you blew its arm off and it just keeps coming and coming. They're going to keep executing. They're going to keep making plays. They're going to keep, doing all that. and the Cavs aren't used to having to play good 48 minutes, especially defensively. That said, I think Game 3 you're going to get the full Cavaliers, and they're rested. But if Boston can beat them in one of those two, it's over. It's over in 5 or it's over in whatever. Yeah. And they've been the better team. They've been clearly the better team so far. I'm just not convinced the Cavs at this point. LeBron will be brilliant, but I don't know that the rest of those guys can execute.
I mean, he was great in Game 2
at a high enough level.
If he can't play much better than he did in Game 2.
No, and he starts to wear down towards the end of the games right now, but I don't know that you can blame him, man. He's had to carry this load not only in this series where he's got the triple-double last game and what have you, but, I mean, frankly, all playoffs and much of the season. This is the first time he's played 82 games. This team isn't that good, and he's had to carry them to where they are.
No doubt. Kurt Helin is with us, Pro Basketball Talk. Check out for NBA Draft coming up, the lottery. We've got Phoenix 1, Sacramento a big winner. They jumped up into number 2. Yep. So what's up at the top of the draft there? How many guys are in play for the top pick?
2. They are going to look for the Suns. Luka Doncic, their coach, the new coach there, remember, is the Serbian national team coach who has a relationship with Doncic. They won Eurobasket, for people who don't know, which is the European national team championship. I'm trying to think of the like a FIFA European Cup type of. That would be the soccer equivalent. They won that last year in Serbia with Goran Dragic and Luka Doncic playing a big role for them. He was quite good, and then he's been phenomenal for Real Madrid all season. They're going to take a look at him, but I don't know any team, and I don't know what's on the Suns board, but I don't know any team or scout I've talked to who doesn't think DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona is going number 1 just because of the potential. That guy has the potential, very well could be a different kind of game, but a Karl Anthony Towns / Joel Embiid type of impact player.
Wow.
And if you're a GM, man, you cannot leave that on the board. You can't be the guy that passed up on that to take the European kid. You just can't.
Pick number 10 for Philadelphia. How many players do you like in this draft? Is it, if you're at number 10, you getting a nice guy?
You are getting a nice guy. I think, honestly, we did a mock yesterday where we had, I think we had Mikal Bridges going to them. We had the Philadelphia guy staying home.
Yep.
Staying home with them. But my guess is that one of the two Bridges, there's also Miles out of Michigan State.
Right.
Both of them are exactly the kind of wings that would fit into what they need. I mean, we saw what the shooting brought them when they got Bellinelli and Ilyasova over the season, and obviously how much J.J. Redick meant to them this year. Those are the kind of guys who can walk in and be 3-and-D guys and play a role really quickly for them. They're both fairly NBA ready. So I think that I think they're going to be able to get a guy who fits into what they do and their rotation at 10, and as another guy who can be a long-term piece for them.
Last one for Kurt Helin. So number 10, best situation for Philly. Pick a guy at 10, or do you think that pick is valuable enough that they can get a veteran player to enter into the lineup right away?
It is possible if there's some – look, it's going to be a weird and wild offseason because you look at Philadelphia on the rise and Boston on the rise, and then there's those teams, especially in the East, but frankly there's a couple in the West too. I'm calling them the desperation teams. That Miami's kind of there. I think Washington's there. Toronto could be one of those teams where, man, we've got it capped out. I mean, the Wizards have the 5th most expensive roster in the NBA, and they were bounced in the first round. They didn't look that good, and injuries were a part of that, but they're looking at where the lay of the land is. They are the kind of team that could make a really bold, I don't want to say crazy, but somewhat desperation move. Maybe one of those teams falls in love with somebody and thinks that 10 can help them more, and they're willing to give up a veteran. But my guess is you're going to take the pick.
All right. Kurt Helin, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network, listed at NBCSportsRadio.com. Download the NBC Sports Radio mobile app today. Kurt, enjoy the playoffs, pal.
I will. Thanks, man.